MV Abe 2 is the largest bulk fertilizer carrier to dock in the country, her first maiden calling being the port of Lamu on 9th of May. The Ethiopian vessel with a consignment of 60,000 metric tons of fertilizer from Morocco marks the beginning of a regional transit market through the port. Ethiopian representatives, led by two ministers, Girma Amante for Agriculture and Dange Boru for Transport and Logistics, received the consignment at the port. Their two Kenyan counterparts were absent, but the country's delegation was led by Kenya Ports Authority Managing Director William Ruto.
The arrival of this vessel is symbolic of the significant strides we have made in cementing business relationship and partnership with Ethiopia. The moment marks not only successful trade transaction, but also significant step towards strengthening regional integration and fostering economic cooperation between our nations.
Lamu Port is more than a maritime gateway. It is a conduit for progress, has the potential to become a premier transshipment hub for all cargo destined for the continent. It's not just a logistical marvel, it is a promise to communities of our three sisterly countries along the corridor.
According to Ethiopian Minister for Agriculture, the fertilizer is meant for farmers in the southern part of the country.
In the last 3 years, Ethiopia has achieved agriculture GDP growth of 6% per annum. Consequently, there is increased volume of agricultural products export and imports of agricultural inputs. To take fertilizer as an example, last season we only imported 1.3 million tons of fertilizer, whereas this season it is increased to 1.94 million tons, which is an increase by 50%.
Ethiopia has for many years been seeking access to a seaport, depending on the port of Djibouti for nearly 90% of both imports and exports, paying billions of dollars annually as port fees. But their drifting to Kenya presents a huge potential for the Lamu port, which is a convenient and also an accessible port to other countries within the East African Economic Bloc. In 2023, Ethiopia's cargo throughput at the port of Mombasa stood at 14.4 million metric tons and is projected to be moved to Lamu due to its proximity. Ethiopia is Africa's largest populous nation with more than 100 million people.
This transformative project is critical for Africa's ambition to establish a continental free trade area as it supports the free movement of goods, services and people across the borders.
As a county, we will be prepared to grant to your country 5 acres of land near the port so you can develop your warehousing and things like that. Because that will spur economic activities, and that is what we want.
At the Kenya Ports Authority, our primary objective is to facilitate trade by ensuring the seamless operation of this second commercial port of Lamu.
Over 2,400 trucks are expected to evacuate the cargo from Lamu to Ethiopia, but the only road network available now has been rendered impassable due to floods. 3 sections of the Lamu-Garsen road has been cut off by floods, paralyzing transport.
Niliandikia barua PS wa barabara, nikamkopi waziri wa barabara kitambo kutoka mwezi wa April karibu tarehe 22 hivi, nikiwaelezea kuwa kuna meli ambayo inabeba mbolea ya Ethiopia itakuja Lamu na itakuwa si vizuri hiyo mbolea ikwame Lamu iwe haiwezi kuwafikia wenyewe.
On Wednesday, Transport Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen inspected the extent of the damage.
Nimekuja hapa kuhakikishia wanabiashara kutoka Ethiopia na nchi ya Ethiopia kwamba tunafanya kila liwezekanalo kuhakikisha kwamba mzigo hiyo imeweza kufikishwa, kwa sababu ni wakati wa kupanda wakati huu huko Ethiopia, na kwa hivyo wanahitaji ile fertiliser yao wafanye ile kazi wanafaa kufanya.
The port of Lamu is anchored on the Lapset transport project with a road network connecting the port through Ijara, Garissa, Isiolo and Moyale.
Kwa mwaka mmoja ujao tumekubaliana na contractor kwamba amalize kazi by February next year, tukue na barabara mpya.
Once complete, the road will be Kenya's second transport corridor, expected to promote economic integration. South Sudan is also in the process of shifting to Lamu, but as at now, the country's cargo throughput of 1.9 million metric tons goes through the port of Mombasa.
We have to do our level best to make the logistics operation of the corridor feasible and cost-effective. We have to bring on board our communities on both sides, as they are the primary beneficiaries of this opportunity. I call upon our respective institutions from both sides to closely follow up and support this first logistical operation.
The Lapset project corridor transcends borders. It is a bridge that unites nations and peoples. It is a promised economic transformation. It will facilitate the movement of goods, reduce the transportation cost, and attract investment.
For us to develop, we must work together. And the only way that we can work together is to know that we have shared common vision and we have common problems that we can only sort them out together as a region.
Lamu Port has 3 operational berths, each with a quay length measuring 400 meters and a depth of -18 meters, capable of comfortably docking Panamax and post-Panamax vessels with a capacity of 20,000 20-foot equivalent units.
Since operationalization of this port on the first berth in 2021, cargo volumes through this port have steadily grown. A considerable number of vessels carrying various cargo, including transshipment and livestock, destined to local and international markets, have docked at this port.
Modernization of equipment, such as the newly acquired ship-to-shore gantry cranes, is also projected to boost operations at the commercial port.